Did you know that you can have in your house an object most feared by the demons that an exorcism, and not using it correctly, is how one of the most disturbing warnings that Padre Pio shared with his devotees. It was not a metaphor, nor an exaggeration pious. It was a warning direct, born from his deep mystical experience and his countless battles spiritual. According to he, many people live surrounded by spiritual darkness, facing invisible storms, while a few inches from their hands rests a powerful weapon, completely inactive. That weapon is the medal of Saint Benedict. At first glance, it looks like just another religious jewel, an object that some hang of the neck or place it on a shelf, believing that by being there, it is already protected. But according to Padre Pio, the true power of this medal is not activated by proximity, but by awareness, devotion, and preparation. On the contrary, not only does he lose effect, but can lead to unintended consequences. The stigmatized friar of Pietrelcina claimed bluntly, "The demons tremble before the medal of Saint Benedict more than before many prayers empty." Why? Because the medal is not an amulet. It is a coded symbol of spiritual warfare, an echo of Christ's power against evil, sealed with centuries of prayer, sacrifice, and revelation. But here is the real problem. Millions of people possess. Few of them understand, and even fewer are prepared to use it. Padre Pio recounted that sometimes, when entering houses where dark presences were felt, it was enough with bless a single medal authentically consecrated and locate it in the right place. For the atmosphere would change completely. Voices ceased, lights, they stopped blinking, nightmares vanished, and most surprisingly, people began to feel a peace they couldn't explain. However, also warned about contrary cases, people who, having many medals accumulated without devotion neither knowledge, they began to live episodes of confusion, constant arguments, spiritual fatigue, and a disturbing inner silence. Because it's not about how many you have, but how you use it, what you understand it, and with that intention, you approach his mystery. What we are about to reveal in this video is not a simple review of symbols. It is a spiritual guide based in the teachings of the Padre Pio himself. We will discover the true meaning of the elements inscribed in the medal, how must be consecrated, where place it at home, and above all, how to avoid them mistakes that can open unwanted doors to the spiritual world. This video is not for those who they look for superstition. It is for those who seek truth, real protection, and a profound transformation. It is for those who feel that even if they cannot see, something invisible is affecting your life. And it is also for those who, with sincere faith, are willing to become living medals, channels of grace and light in an increasingly gloomy world. And if you feel that something in you has awakened just with these words, then get ready, because what you will discover next will change the way you see life, spiritual reality forever. You don't have to see a shadow move, neither to hear a voice to know that something is not right. Sometimes evil comes in the form of tiredness, inexplicable, discussions for no reason, creaking doors without cause, or simply a heavy atmosphere, as if the air had suddenly become denser. According to Padre Pio, these are not coincidences. They are manifestations of a silent, cunning, and deeply self-interested enemy in what happens inside our homes. The scriptures already, they warned, "We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against governors of the darkness." And it is precisely in the more intimate spaces, ours home, our room, our bed, where these forces they look for establish his domain. But how? They enter. How act? Padre Pio explained that negative spiritual entities do not need doors open in the physical sense. It is enough small acts, spiritual negligence, or even objects loaded with dark intentions to start operating. A house where there is no prayer, where selfishness, anger, or deceit reign, hopelessness gradually turns into fertile ground for these influences. And when these forces take hold, they do not always do with rumble. Sometimes it do with silence, with a subtle but constant erosion of peace. There are those who they relate how, after placing the medal of Saint Benedict in his bedroom, they began to sleep better after years of insomnia. Others, after blessing the main entrance with exorcised water and a medal strategically located, they stopped listening noises unexplainable by the nights. What is superstition for the modern world? For those who, they have experienced spiritual combat firsthand. It is a reality indisputable. Padre Pio taught that every home should become in a fortress of light. It was not enough with her faith. It was necessary to consecrate the physical space. Because just as evil seeks territories to influence, so does the sacred need space to demonstrate. And this is where the medal of Saint Benedict becomes a key element. Located in the four corners of the house on door frames, windows, and even under the mattresses, this consecrated medal becomes a permanent shield, a wall invisible but powerful that repels the shadows that sneak in moments of vulnerability. But be careful. We are not talking about magic. It is not about putting medals like someone sticking holy cards to scare away ghosts. It's about placing, blessing, and activating an ancient symbol with spiritual awareness. In the center of this invisible war is the human heart, and your home is the battlefield. When a person elevates his spiritual life and transforms his home in a place of prayer, charity, and gratitude, is sending a clear signal to the invisible world, here queen the light, and that, according to Padre Pio, has consequences real. The forces, dark ones, do not support places where the faith is alive. They do not tolerate the presence of consecrated symbols, much less if they are understood and used with devotion. That's why the medal of Saint Benedict, being correctly activated, it becomes in an unbearable presence for evil. But it is not enough place it. There are steps, conditions, and hidden truths behind its power, and that's it which we will reveal starting from the next chapter. Get ready, because now we are going to enter the most unknown and feared dimension of this story, why the demons they hate this medal more than an exorcism. When mentioned the word exorcism, the most people think in dramatic rituals, shouts, holy water and Bibles open to evil. But according to Padre Pio, there is something that many, sometimes it is even more unbearable for the hell all that. A little one medal, consecrated, understood and used with faith, is no exaggeration. The friar of the Stigmata said firmly that the Saint Benedict medal is a symbol that cuts chains invisible, breaks unintentional dark pacts, and expels demonic presences without need for violent confrontations. How is this possible? The answer lies in its 3 levels of spiritual action. 1. Physical level. The territory is consecrated. In the material plane, the medal acts as a testimony visible from the faith. When placing it in a place, you are marking a territory, saying, this space belongs to God. And just as a wild animal avoids an area marked by its predator, forces of evil recognize this symbol as a warning. You are not welcome here. In multiple documented exorcisms, the demons, through the possessed people, reacted with fury at the presence of a medal of Saint Benedict, even when was hidden. Sometimes, they tried take her out of the room. Others, simply they shouted, take it away, it's burning us. Padre Pio explained that it was not the metal that it hurt, that's what it stood for. 2. Spiritual level, a declaration of war on evil. The reverse of the medal contains a series of letters that enclose prayers of protection so ancient as powerful. Crux sacra sit, mihi lux, non draco sit, mihi dux. May the Holy Cross be my light, may it not be the demon my guide. These phrases are not decoration, they are decrees, and when they are pronounced with consciousness, they are activated as codes that vibrate in the spiritual world, generating a frequency that repels negative presences. In addition, the medal contains an exorcism in same, an implicit prayer of renunciation of evil, of surrender to the cross, and of invocation directly to the power of Christ through Saint Benedict, who was known for his tireless fight against demonic temptations. 3. Inner level. The soul is strengthened. But the greatest secret, according to Padre Pio, is not outside, but inside. When someone uses the medal with faith authentic, something changes within. The person begins to awaken a spiritual sensitivity that he did not have before. He becomes more aware of the energies that the surround. It strengthens itself against the temptations, and he begins to act with elderly clarity, peace, and firmness. It's as if the soul will begin to dress with invisible armor, an armor that not only repels external evil, but also purifies the chaos within. And this is where the medal surpasses even many formal exorcisms, because it does not depend on a priest, nor on a ritual, but on the spiritual awakening of the person, the gate. It is not an external struggle, but an internal transformation that alters the frequency of the soul. The demons, he explained, Padre Pio, they are not afraid of religious objects in and of themselves. What really terrifies them is when these objects are attached to the living faith, to deep knowledge, and to firm will to resist evil. Is why a medal of St. Benedict hanging in the neck of a sleeping soul is just an ornament. But in the neck of someone you know its power has been consecrated and is used with humility and prayer, becomes in an invisible sword that cuts the darkness. And now that you understand why it is so feared, it has arrived the time to go even further, decipher the hidden symbols that make this medal an ancient spiritual code. At first glance, the medal of St. Benedict seems like just another ornamental piece, but you only have to stop for a few seconds to notice something different. Letters that don't form words known, ancient symbols, a central cross with inscriptions that seem to be speaking in a language of the soul. And it is that, in truth, the medal is a code, a spiritual code designed to be understood by the awake and feared by the shadows. Padre Pio used to say that each symbol on this medal has a purpose, an intention, and a specific spiritual vibration. Understanding them is like having the key to a connecting door, it visible with it invisible. Let's start with the obverse. In him, we see St. Benedict holding a cross in one hand and the book of the Benedictine rule in the another. Next to it, a glass of the which a snake comes out, a symbol of the poison they tried give it to him, and that was miraculously neutralized. Also appears a crow, which according to the tradition led far a poisoned bread that offered. These elements speak to us of protection against physical and spiritual evil. Each image narrates a victory over evil, deception, the death and the temptation. But the true mystery is in the reverse. There we find a central cross, and between its arms, the initials CSSML, Crux, Sacra Sit Mihi Lux, may the Holy Cross be my light, NDSMD, Non Draco, Sit Mihi Dux, don't be the demon my guide. Short phrases, but of deep spiritual force. They are not simply declarations. These are verbal shields. Every time you utter them, you are declaring your allegiance to the light and your conscious rejection of all influence. Dark. Around from the edge of the medal, more letters form a complete sentence. VRSNSMV, Vade retro Satana, numquam suade mihi vana. Stay away. Satan, do not suggest vain things to me. SMQLIVB, sunt mala quae libus, ipse venena bibus. What you offer me is bad, baby, you same your poisons. This prayer is, in essence, an encapsulated exorcism, a formula that expels, repels, and protects. It is not for casual use. It is a decree with centuries of monastic tradition and spiritual authority. And like every powerful symbol, its effectiveness depends on the understanding and the intention. Praying these phrases without knowing what they mean is like carrying a weapon without ammunition, but pronounce them with consciousness. It's like unleashing a ray of light on the shadows. It is also important to understand that the symbolic power of the medal does not end in the letters. Just carrying it, looking at it, or touching it with devotion generates a subtle movement in the spiritual world. The ancients, did you know, symbols not only communicate, they also activate. That's why many faithful who began to meditate on the symbols of the medal, they experienced not only protection, but an expansion of their intuition, clearer dreams, and a deeper connection with the divine. And now that you have acquaintance the code, is coming the most crucial part, how really activate it, because it is not enough to have it, it is necessary turn it on. And for that, you must know the 3 spiritual pillars that we will reveal below. Having a Saint Benedict medal is not enough. Wearing it in a pocket, hang it in a mirror from the car, or even use it in a chain. Gold medal does not guarantee anything. In fact, Padre Pio warned, a medal without faith is like a blunt sword. What many are unaware, and what the spiritual enemy hopes you never discover, is that the medal only unleashes its full power when consciously activated. How? Through 3 fundamental pillars that cannot be separate, 3 steps that convert a blessed object in an unbreakable spiritual barrier. Pillar 1, knowledge. Know what you carry. The first step is to understand. It cannot be activate what is not understood. The medal of St. Benedict is a symbolic compendium of faith, prayer, and authority spiritual. Every letter, every word, every image has a specific function in the fight against evil. When you know the meaning of your prayers. When you pray with he heart the phrases crux sacra sit mihi lux and vede retro satana, you are not simply repeating a formula. You are entering a spiritual frequency that aligns with centuries of light, renunciation of evil, and union with the cross. And that awareness changes everything. Many devotees have shared that after learning the true sense of the medal and meditate on its symbols, they began to experience signs of transformation, dreams more lucid, stronger intuitions, and even changes in the atmosphere of their homes. To know is to activate, to understand is to invoke, and to know is already, in part, to conquer. Pillar 2, consecration, separating the sacred from the common. The second step is the consecration authentic. It is not enough to buy a medal and assume it is ready to be worn. Padre Pio insisted in which only a medal, consecrated by an authorized priest, using the specific rite of the Church, portal the spiritual authority necessary to protect and bless. Consecration is not a decorative ritual. It is a formal invocation of God's power, performed with specific words and apostolic authority, which seals the medal as an instrument of spiritual combat. Many believers do not, but there is a big difference between a medal simply blessed and one consecrated according to the ritual of Saint Benedict. The latter contains exorcisms, invocations direct to the cross of Christ, and an explicit rejection of everything demonic. Therefore, if already you have a medal but you are not sure about its consecration, the better step you can take is to go to a priest, ask for the official prayer, and seal it with devotion. And if you still want to go deeper, some faithful recommend reconsecrate it monthly during the moon new, spiritual symbol of the inner rebirth. Pillar 3, application. Use it as a tool, not as an ornament. The third pillar is to apply. Once understood and enshrined, the medal must be used strategically. Carry it with you, especially in times of spiritual struggle, travel, or important decisions. Place it in the corners of your home, especially in the doors, windows, rooms, and under the mattress. Give it to loved ones, but only after explaining its meaning. Shared faith strengthens the protection, and above all, not the convert in an amulet. Not about superstition nor magic, it's about faith active. If the medal becomes in an object of spiritual pride, of collection, or of mere exhibition, loses his function. Worse still, it can open space for the confusion or the self-deception. Padre Pio, he said with clarity, A medal worn without humility is a door open to the enemy. That's why proper use not only protects, it transforms. It transforms your home, your environment, your way of seeing life. Because by living with awareness, these three pillars, knowledge, dedication, and application, you don't just wear a medal, you become in she. And when it happens, evil no longer just fears you, it begins to retreat. A truth that few dare to say out loud is that the medal of Saint Benedict does not act equally for everyone. Its presence generates different, deep, and, in general, reactions, some cases, absolutely surprising. Why? Because this medal, far from being a simple external symbol, is a mirror of the inner state of who the possesses. Padre Pio spoke of three types of reactions, spiritual experiences that people experienced when they came into contact with the medal, especially when was properly consecrated and activated. These reactions were not random. They were clear signs of the state of the soul and the relationship with the divine. 1. Those who they use with sincere faith, blessings visible and deep peace. For those who come closer with humility, devotion, and conscience, the medal becomes into a constant source of blessing. It not only protects, but transforms. People who lived before in anxiety begin to experience inner peace. Families marked by conflict, unexpected harmony emerges. Inspiring dreams, coincidences providential, clarity in important decisions. Everything this has been reported by devotees who made the medal an extension of your spiritual life. And the most beautiful thing, they feel accompanied, as if they would no longer walk alone, as if an invisible but powerful presence constantly surrounded them. 2. The indifferent, without effect, no change. Then are those who possess the medal, but they don't believe it. They wear it out of habit, fashion, or simply because someone gave it to them, gave away. For these people, the medal does not cause damage, but not either produces effect. It's like carrying a key without knowing what door opens, or worse still, like having a lamp that never turns on. Spiritual protection is not activated by physical proximity, but by inner communion. Padre Pio warned, "The grace of God does not force, it only enters where it is welcomed." And the medal, as an instrument of that grace, requires a minimum opening of the heart. 3. The unprepared, turbulence, unexpected spiritual. This is, without a doubt, the most delicate group. There are those who, when introducing the medal in your life without preparation, without faith, or with wrong intentions, they begin to experience disturbing phenomena, more intense nightmares, irritability without cause, feeling of being watched, or even rejection inexplicable toward the medal same. Because occurs this, Padre Pio explained thus, "The light, when it enters a dark place, not only illuminates, also reveals what was hidden. That is to say, the medal does not cause evil, it exposes, and when it makes, forces the soul to choose, purify itself or resist." Many of those who went through these turbulences then, they confessed that it was precisely that crash that caused them led to a profound conversion. Because when the soul faces the true, it can't stay the same. Therefore, if someone begins to feel discomfort when using the medal, you should not fear, you should investigate. Not run away, but look within and ask, what is this cross trying to show me? In most cases, that discomfort is an invitation to awakening, to a change, to a spiritual cleansing that was being put off for too long. And it is here where many fail, believing that the medal is simply a protective object, when in reality is a tool of revelation, purification, and transformation. But also, there is dangers royal in its misuse, and that is what we will explore next. Just as powerful medicine can heal, misused, so can poison. Same occurs with the medal of Saint Benedict. Although was created as a shield against evil, when used without respect, without understanding, or with spiritual pride, can open more doors than it closes. Padre Pio never softened this truth. He witnessed what happened when sacred objects are trivialized. There is no playing with the holy, he said with severity. And it is that the medal, far from being an ornament or a mystical fashion, is an instrument consecrated to spiritual combat. The most common mistakes that generate negative consequences include: 1. Use it as a superstition amulet. There are those who, they believe that carrying the medal that comes back automatically immune to evil. They carry it like someone hangs a horseshoe for the luck or tie a ribbon to ward off the evil eye. This magical, superstitious use without prayer, neither conversion, completely deactivates his spiritual power. Worse yet, it can give a false sense of security while the soul remains exposed. 2. Accumulate many without none devotion. Have 5, 10, 20 medals distributed throughout the house does not increase the protection if there is no inner life. In fact, many exorcists and priests have warned that this excess, more without real faith, can attract spiritual confusion, as if the excess of the sacred without commitment will create noise, saturation, chaos, misunderstood light becomes in shadow. 3. Use it with spiritual pride or superiority. This is one of the more subtle and dangerous errors. There are those who begin to use the medal not to protect themselves, but to demonstrate their spiritual level, to feel purer, holier, more protected than the others. And there, the pride opens the door that the medal tries to close. Padre Pio warned with clarity, "The devil does not fear holy objects. He fears the humble hearts that they use with faith." When the medal becomes an ego trophy, lose his essence, and the protection fades. Consequences: spiritual common from misuse, feeling of emptiness or disconnection, increased confusing or contradictory thoughts, emotional isolation without apparent cause, spiritual heaviness that does not disappear with shallow prayer. These symptoms are not divine punishments. They are warnings, signs that something is not being well used, invitations to readjustment, to repentance, to awakening. Because the medal is not an automatic shield, it is a commitment, a spiritual alliance between you and the divine, and it only blossoms when is born of the heart. In the next chapter, we'll see what occurs when that commitment becomes authentic, when already it's not about protecting yourself, it's about transforming yourself. Padre Pio did not speak of protection as something passive. For him, true spiritual defense came not just from wearing a medal, but from becoming in she. Yes, you heard good. The medal of Saint Benedict was not conceived solely to block evil. It was created as a physical reminder of an inner transformation, an external symbol of a battle that begins within the soul. And that is the final call that Padre Pio left to all those who they heard. Let each one of you become into a living medal. What does that mean? It means to live with such spiritual clarity, with such firmness in the faith, that your present same be light where there is darkness. May your gaze bring peace. May your words enliven, that your actions inconvenience evil and strengthen it he good. When a person deeply understands the meaning of the medal and decides to embody it, something changes. Not only does it carry a symbol of protection, it becomes in a channel of divine protection, and then the fruits begin to manifest. Environments that were previously heavy are purified with your presence. Restless people find comfort just talking to you. Your intuition sharpens, your discernment strengthens, and your inner peace becomes contagious. You're no longer just protected, you're radiating protection. This is the hidden purpose of the medal that many they forget. Not only to protect you, but to transform you in protector, a beacon, a silent witness, a warrior invisible in the great spiritual battle that is fought everyday days. And if you're wondering where to start, the answer is simple. Study the symbols. Pray your words with he heart. Consecrate your medal. Live with spiritual coherence. Use the medal, but don't hide behind it. And above all, live as if your soul already would take printed the cross of Christ. Because when you decide to transform yourself, medal no longer hangs from your neck. Shine in your soul. And that, dear viewer, is what evil truly fears. If this story resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who is struggling in silence, someone who needs light, guidance, or protection. You can be the channel. You can be that living medal that another needs. And if you haven't yet, you have done. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like and comment below. What experience have you had with the medal of Saint Benedict? And what message left you today, Padre Pio? We'll meet again soon. And remember, true power is not in what you wear, but in what you believe, in what you live, and in what you decide to be.